Another one. Another one. Touchdown, Jags! Ball game!
Another Jags podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to another Jags podcast, episode 57. Joey, Jason, and myself are here tonight to answer all of your Twitter questions, and there are more than a few. So we're going to get to those in just a minute. Before we do that, we want to remind everyone that we are on Twitter at Another Jags Pod, Facebook and Instagram, Another Jags Podcast, YouTube, Another Jags Podcast as well. We appreciate your feedback. This is a fan show, and so we want to include you. So without any further ado, I think we just need to jump right into it because there are, what did you say, Jason? Like
14
questions.
Yeah, so we'll try to be quick, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
We'll try to get to all of them.
That's awesome, first of all. I mean, keep them coming.
This is great, guys. I mean, we posted this earlier today. You know,
And it was a busy news day for the Jags.
Yeah.
There's plenty to talk about. So let's jump right in. What do you say?
For sure. I don't know. I haven't looked at these, so I'm just going to randomly pick one to start.
Sure.
Y'all cool with that?
Yes.
All right, this first question is from Brent Papineau, and he's at Brent Papineau. And he says, how far could we trade down and still get Hawkinson, the tight end from Iowa, if we sign Foles? He thinks like 15 to 20, and then he wants to know, would we be able to pick up another second and third this year with that trade?
I've been all over that because tight end is a huge pain point for me. I mean, I think we finally need to step up and just get an elite tight end. I mean, all the good teams have them, and on top of everything, Hawkinson is a blocking machine. So he kind of helps the offensive line as well as helps your offense from a scoring standpoint, all in one package. I don't think he's going past 10.
I agree that he's not going past 10. I would even say if you want the Jaguars to draft him, then just sit at 7 and take him at 7. However, I disagree with Joey wholeheartedly in that I do not think that that's a position that they should address in the first round, especially at 7. Now, if they were to somehow be able to trade all the way back into the 20s, maybe. But their history has proven that getting a tight end in the first round is not a good move. And I also don't agree with the fact that I think tight end in the NFL is an overvalued position because there are a few elite ones. But you look at a lot of the playoff teams, and there was only a couple that had that elite tight end. So I think we are overvaluing that position a little bit with so many other concerns on the team. I would think it was a poor choice to use our first round pick on a tight end.
So look at the Super Bowl last year. Both had elite tight ends.
You mean this past season?
No, 2 years ago. Philadelphia, New England.
Yeah.
2 elite tight ends. If you can't fix everything, you can't get an elite wide receiver, elite tight end, elite quarterback, and fix the entire offensive line and get a backup elite running back. I mean, can't do all that.
No.
So why not take a guy that is going to help your wide receivers, help your offensive line, and kind of be a multi-package guy?
I just don't like taking a tight end at 7th overall.
I don't love that either, but
way too high.
And again,
look at this past Super Bowl. You had Gronk, who is not the Gronk that he used to be. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's not at the elite level that he used to be. And you have the Rams. Who's their tight end?
No clue.
Exactly. Who's the Saints tight end? Who's the Chargers tight end? Who's the Texans tight end?
You're also
all playoff teams.
You're also naming teams who have elite quarterbacks and elite coaches and elite systems.
So let's go after an elite quarterback in the draft and get Haskins and build on that.
So this is a much bigger question than do we take that? This is philosophy-wise. What do you think is possible?
His question was if they take Foles. So I'll stick to the question.
Yes.
And I say no. Don't take with 7th. Now again, he also said if you can trade back.
Do you think you could trade back to 15 to 20 and get Hawkinson?
No, he's going to be gone. That's what I'm saying. If you want him, you have to take him at 7. I'm saying don't want him.
The answer to that question for me is if we take Foles, yes, I want him at 7.
All right, so I'll admit, last week I was on Joey's side, and this week I'm on James's side. So within a week,
par for the course,
and
fence sitter.
Yeah, and honestly, James convinced me because when he talked about it, James made this point last week on our podcast talking about who we would draft, and I kind of started doing some digging into that claim that tight ends aren't important, and he's kind of right. The top 3 tight ends this year.
You're right.
The top 3 tight ends this year, yards and receptions wise, Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce, and George Kittle. And they both were in the 1,300, 1,100 yard range, those top three guys. The next highest tight ends don't come in till about 800 yards, Jared Cook. 600 yards, Austin Hooper. 700 yards, Eric Ebron. Kyle Rudolph, 634. There's a huge drop-off between the top three tight ends and everybody else. So I think the tight end position has become a little overrated when we look at this. Rob Gronkowski had 682 yards this year. That's it.
Yeah, and like 400 of them were in the playoffs.
No.
I think he had one good playoff game.
Yeah.
Them to the Super Bowl.
it was a good game, but
my whole point is that yes,
The Rams, we think that as Rams is this high-powered offensive team. Their tight end was Gerald Everett, 320 yards. That's it. The Rams tight end. So, I mean, we look at guys that, Dallas Goedert actually had a pretty good year this year. O.J. Howard, Mark Andrews, these are new guys, but they're still only giving you 300 yards.
O.J. Howard, I remember he got drafted by the Bucks. He fell in the draft. Coming out of Alabama, was supposed to be a stud. I mean, people were freaking out about him being just a monster in the NFL, and he's done relatively nothing.
Yeah.
my whole point is I would not normally say take a tight end at 7 ever in the history of the draft. But when you have a guy that can fill multiple roles for you and kind of fit multiple things that you have to have, we've got too much to fix on offense, man. I mean, he can take care of two different things. We're not going to get all those teams you named have like stud running backs or elite wide receivers or elite quarterbacks or all three or 2 out of the 3.
But is he really going to?
We have none of them.
Is he really going to take care of passing yards if he gets 300 to 400 yards receiving? Like that's like Moncrief gives you more than that.
He was a really good blocker last year.
Okay,
and he
so
had
he gives
700
you blocking,
yards.
so you could draft an offensive lineman.
And he had 700 yards and 6 touchdowns. What offensive lineman's going to get you 700 yards and 6 touchdowns?
But he'll block better. So I mean, I think you do get more value getting a lineman or a receiver than a tight end who is A, going to be hit or miss, and B, if he's a hit, it may not even be that impactful.
I think he fills multiple roles. I disagree.
7's way too high.
Yeah, I agree.
It's way too high.
If you could get him trading back, that's ideal. But I'm with y'all. I don't think tight ends have become so overhyped.
So many mock drafts are mocking him between 6 and 8.
Yeah.
I mean, it's which again, I think part of that is because there's him and then there's nobody else in this draft for tight ends. Where last year it was a tight end rich draft.
I mean, my whole thing is we have to take middle linebacker or tight end top of the list, in my opinion. So maybe that's why I'm going that route. Offensive line, I think there's multiple guys you could get in the deep 30s to 40s that are as good, if not, I mean.
I don't think so. I'm not with you there. I think these guys like Jawan Taylor and Jonah Williams are like a much higher tier than everyone else in the draft. So
you could get a guy that could start and do well.
I don't want a guy that can do well on offense. I want to draft a guy with the 7th pick that will come into our offense and be impactful right away, whether it be receiver, tight end, or lineman. And I think our best bet is that lineman there. But if let's stay with the tight end here. This question's from Coach Pete. This stays with our tight end theme. He's at Coach L Tweets. He asked, what's y'all's thoughts on the rumor that we are interested in tight end Jesse James? Coach Flip likes to utilize tight ends in his offense, so it's a big need.
I'll jump in on this one because I like the rumor. This is where I would want them to go. And I didn't want to say this because I wanted to let the question be read first, but I think this is the route they need to go for a tight end, is go after Jesse James. I don't think he's going to cost a ton of money because he's still relatively green and didn't, do a ton of stuff in Pittsburgh, but enough to show you that he has flashes where he can produce. And I say go that route. Get him in free agency. Plus, it's always good to have a guy on your team named Jesse James. I don't think anyone's going to argue that, especially Joey wearing his all black, Yeah. But I like that move. That one I can get on board with, but not drafting 7th overall tight end.
I mean, we've done so well with our free agent tight ends. I agree. Go that route.
How many? I mean, when is that? 1?
ASJ, Niles Paul.
Niles Paul never was coming in.
Julius Thomas,
the multi-million dollar. I mean, it's like 3 in a row.
We haven't had any good ones, but we haven't had any good. A lot of things. You can't just pin one position. I mean, who's the last good running back we've had? Well, Maurice Jones-Drew. How long ago was that? That was almost a decade.
Well, I'm going to tweet a question right now. Then, what other offensive weapon would you want to help the offense?
I would want an offensive lineman. I'd want a lineman.
I was in the middle of the question.
Okay, sorry.
Jason,
Go ahead. Lineman. No, sorry.
Because again,
we're asking about Jesse James. We need your answer on Jesse James right now.
I don't want to pick up a tight end in free agency. It does not work.
Here's my counter to that. What other offensive position in free agency Well, in terms of skill position, I guess, would you rather have? I mean, there's no wide receivers
I mean,
Crabtree?
no normal size. Oh, free agency.
in free agency.
Free agency. You got Golden Tate.
Golden Tate? Crabtree?
I think you can get Golden Tate and Jesse James.
Not think it Foles.
Well, that's a big if.
Yeah.
This question doesn't say that.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
moving on then.
Jesse James. Let me give you my tip on Jesse James. I like him. Keep in mind, he wasn't even the best tight end on his own team. He is young, 24. He threw 420 yards, 14.1 yards per reception, 30 receptions. Not bad, but it depends on where his value is going to be. I could see a team overpaying for him is the thing, and I don't want to be that team.
I mean, that's pretty much the case in all free
I know, but
agencies.
he's
You're always
so
overpaying.
young that young players tend to get overpaid for, and he's so young. I feel like that he might be a guy people reach for.
How much did you say Dallas Goedert, how many yards he had last year?
So Dallas Goedert had 334 yards.
Okay, so Jesse James had more.
Jesse James had more, but I mean he's a rookie. They both were playing second tight end.
Exactly. And we were drooling over Dallas Goedert.
They pretty much graded out the same. Goddard is rated the 22nd best tight end. Jesse James is rated the 25th best tight end.
Yeah, but is that just on offensive production, or is that taking into account all the other things they do?
Yes, no, it's just receiving yards.
Which, I mean, you can't do that with a tight end.
That's
Well,
true.
no, you can, but at the same time, you're not drafting a tight end 7th overall to be a good blocker
Right.
only. You know, I mean,
Right.
he's got
No, not only. I'm saying combo package.
big time, but
Yeah,
big
of course
time.
he does.
And
But he's
so-
got to be able to do it all, or he's not worth that spot. I think this guy is.
7. I mean, I'd be interested to see when the last time a tight end was taken in the top 7 picks. of a draft.
OJ Howard's pretty high.
He fell to I want to say 18.
Okay.
Because no one could believe it, and then everyone thought Tampa Bay had
A steal. Yeah.
Pretty sure Kyle Brady was like 12.
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
No, I mean, people listening are going to be all over us for not knowing, probably. But
I'm pretty sure I'm right.
all right, so you guys wouldn't be comfortable with that either way. I mean, we could look it up, but I mean, we're going to get to more Twitter questions because we have 14. We need to get to them
That's
all.
right.
Moving on.
Then moving on. Okay, we're going random here, guys. I'm sorry, so this could be all over the place.
Quick draw.
I like it. Jason Rat. He's at Rat HCP. He says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy would you be if we sign/trade, which would now be a sign for Foles?
Jason, you take this one.
Okay, all right.
You go first.
Happy, scale of 1 to 10, 4. Because I get where they're coming from with this team is built to win now, and the best person the wins over replacement, if I were to make that up for a football player, Foles would be the best for us right now with all of our options. So drafting Haskins, keeping Bortles, signing anyone else, Foles gives you the most wins next year.
But you're still a 4?
Happy wise. Because I don't want to. I'm okay with not winning next year and winning for the next 5 years. So I'm cool with a guy like Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins coming in, and then, in 3 or 4 years being a powerhouse team. But if you're coaching for your job and you're general managing for your job, are you going to bring in a rookie? That's the problem.
You absolutely would if there was a rookie like Luck, which there's not. I think Haskins is the closest thing to that. And I'd be a 7 if we got Haskins. But I'm also a 7 with us getting Foles at this point. And the reason being with that is we can all thank John Elway and his giant horse teeth for making that trade for Flacco.
Didn't see that coming.
That not only brought Flacco out of the equation, which I'm so glad that happened, but it brought Case Keenum back into the equation for possibly another team, and it downgraded Foles as far as his value. I think we're able to get Foles now for less than we would have been able to get him before.
Well, absolutely. Well, we could get him less, but I think sorry, I'm still wrapping my head around the horse teeth thing with John Elway.
Come on now.
Yeah, okay, sure.
In a million years, I would not. If this was $1 million pyramid and you were like horse teeth, I would never say, "Oh, John Elway."
Yeah, of course, it's John Elway.
We're gonna throw up some Twitter photos or something because he has. Yeah,
Joey goes after people's teeth when he doesn't like them. Him and what's his name? The whole Gator boy.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Wooden teeth.
Apparently, I've got a teeth thing.
But no, I mean, the Eagles came out today and announced that Foles isn't going to be franchised, which means he will go into free agency, unrestricted. And the price tag then for him will go down because if they had franchised him, it was going to be a trade involving a $25 million contract. So Foles getting $25 million a year. I mean, Jason talking about overpaying for Jesse James. That's going to be overpaying for Nick Foles, $25 million a year. So I think his price is going to go down. But now what we have here is a situation where Foles has to not only entertain Jaguars' offer, but want to come here. You know, it's a two-way street in free agency. So the question isn't, can the Jags get him? It's also, does he want to be gotten by the Jaguars? So we'll see what happens there. To answer the question on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm at a 3 on that. I don't want the Jags to get Foles. This formula just doesn't work in the NFL, where you get a free agent quarterback and he comes in and saves the day and saves your franchise, and suddenly you're a playoff team. And
Peyton Manning, Denver Broncos.
Okay, one time, and that was
the defense.
That was the defense.
Yeah.
Exactly, and we have a defense that's as legit as the Broncos were.
Ugh.
It's the same formula.
It's not going to work. I just don't. It's one. You're pointing to one time. For that one, there's 50 others. Just look at last season alone. There was 3 major names that signed in as free agent quarterbacks. None of them worked.
And I said no to every single one of them because none of them had won anything or proven themselves.
So the key is to ask you if they're qualified or not.
The guy's won a freaking Super Bowl, man. He's proven himself as being able to do it.
So much so that the team that he won it for is willing to let him go.
No, they weren't. They didn't want to. They're stuck with another great quarterback. They wanted to franchise him. When that Denver trade happened, it took their play away.
So regardless of where he goes, you think he's going to be a winning quarterback in the NFL?
Absolutely. Yes, I do think he is going to be.
Yeah, I don't mean like he's going to go to some tank team and, you know.
Yes.
I know.
If he goes to a decent team, he's going to be a winning quarterback.
So you would bet on Foles?
I would.
All right, let me just ask you guys a quick pop question here. First question I want to ask you guys.
He's my favorite. We haven't had one of these.
We haven't had it in a while, and I've been waiting for this all day. First part of it is think back to January 2016.
Okay.
What were you guys doing January 2016?
And I can't remember what I had for breakfast 3 days ago.
Well, think back. January 2016.
I think I was, let's see, okay. I think I was praying to the gods that somehow the Jags were going to be able to draft Jalen Ramsey.
Okay. All right. That's good. Joey? Just rough. 2016 or 2016.
I have no idea, honestly.
Okay.
I have no clue.
How many games do you think Nick Foles has started since that date?
6.
This is January 2016. We're in 2019.
So
that's 3 whole seasons
ago.
He was almost out of the league.
3 whole seasons.
Back
Played
up.
like, I don't know, he did. I think he played just 7 this year alone. Then he had the run, so 12?
This is just regular season.
Oh, regular season.
Oh, sorry.
7 sounds like a good number.
3?
9.
9.
6 wasn't ridiculous. It's pretty close.
But isn't that ridiculous? I mean, this is since 2019 or 2016. Like, this is not. That was 3 seasons ago, and he started in 9 games. That's an average of starting 3 games a year for the last 3 years. And you want to bank on this guy at $20 million a year instead of drafting a quarterback that you think might be able to lead the franchise for the next 5 to 8 years?
If there's a quarterback in the draft that I was...
You don't think Haskins is that guy? You don't think Murray is that guy?
I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know.
The more I read and see on Haskins, the more I just fallen more and more in love
No,
with
I
him.
think Haskins is awesome,
Haskins is
but
a real
we're not
deal.
getting Haskins. That's the problem.
I don't trade up for him.
I don't see that happening. Don't see it happening.
They would have to trade up for sure.
Yeah.
All right, this next question is from... let's get a lighthearted question here to just break it up real quick. This is from Trebe Talks. This is a nice little, break question. He's at Trebe Talks. Does some good YouTube videos. I think he's doing stuff on like the AAF now, so if you're into that, then check him out.
Who's not?
Pass.
Argonauts, man, for the win.
All right, he says, would you be pro cat park instead of dog park?
I mean, come on.
I'm sorry, can you re-say that? Because I have no idea what
Would you be pro cat park instead of dog park?
I mean, cats got like those cool things they jump on and like...
Jaguars, at least there's some sort of relationship.
Yeah,
there.
I mean...
Here's my thing. If
It could be much smaller, too.
If you take away the huge view obstructing cage, I don't care what you put there.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you can't see anything for that entire side of the end zone side.
Did y'all see that clip of the Jaguar pulling the gator.
That's old.
It is?
Yeah.
I just saw that today for the first time.
Yeah, is that
like
crazy?
4 times in a
Yeah,
row.
that's crazy.
Pretty amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. This next question is from UCF Jaguar, and he's at UCF_Jaguar. This guy also has a lot of good YouTube videos, so we got all kind of YouTubers
Love it.
jumping in the thread. He says, keep Hyde or let him go.
I'll take this one first because when I read the Twitter question, because I did see this one beforehand, I was like, man, why do you say that? Of course, let him go. But when you look at the options in free agency and you look at the draft options and where we're picking and what we need and what we have to pay him, I must say keep him at this point. I mean, it was a very productive back for 4 years before we got him. He came into a toxic locker room halfway through the season when things weren't going right. I think if he comes in, starts from scratch, and has the right attitude, I think that he could be productive. I say we keep him. I think it's a great question.
That actually is a good question. I agree, Joey. I was kind of the same way, like knee-jerk, like, what do you mean? He's already out the door. Why would this even be asked? But, yeah, I mean, we signed Rawls, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Right.
And then we still have Corey Grant on the team. I don't know what.
Nah, he's gone.
He's gone?
Yeah, he's going to be gone.
You think
He's
so?
not gone yet, but there's a better chance of Hyde making the team than yeah.
Even if he's healthy? I mean, I know it's very questionable with that type of foot fracture, but
I mean, I think Grant's getting paid more than Hyde. Would you rather have Hyde or Grant?
I like Grant.
Okay. All right. Well,
I mean,
my bad.
I mean, I think Fournette likes Hyde, though. I mean, he ran 60 yards to go defend him.
That's my boy. That's what I like
think
to
they
see.
get along at least.
That's what I like to see.
So, it is a good question. I haven't considered it all that much, really, but if they keep him, I'll be fine with it. If they cut him, it's kind of one of those where it's like, whatever.
Here's the thing with me is they save $2 million if they cut him, and that's big right now because we're not in a position to be just keeping people that we like. I don't think we would have gone out and signed Thomas Rawls if we had planned on keeping Fournette and Hyde. It seems like at this point we're keeping Fournette. So I don't think there's any way Hyde survives the roster just based on salary alone. Like, you got to think he's probably the third string running back. Like, why would you bring in Thomas Rawls unless he's going to be the backup running back, right? So you got to think Hyde's going to be a $2 million third string running back. Corey Grant's going to be a $2.5 million third string running back. There's no way these guys make the team.
that's a great point because, I mean, when your top running back decides to sue the team, get money back, and then go to...
Sue the team for the money that was guaranteed to him.
And then go to, Wyoming to do your off-season
Good
training?
for him.
Like, he's in a cave in Wyoming where nobody can see him.
He's been watching Rocky IV.
That's fantastic. Hopefully so. He's got like a big old tree across his shoulders and he's running up a mountain.
If there was anywhere, if you would ask me, if there was a Twitter question saying, guys, where do you think Leonard Fournette goes to work out this offseason? I would have immediately said Wyoming.
Hey.
Right off the bat. It's obvious.
It's so obvious.
Born and raised in Louisiana, lives in Jacksonville. It makes sense. Go to Wyoming. Just
Taven,
connect the dots.
that's where Taven was, so maybe there's something to do with that.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe they're bros.
All right, this next question is from Hugh Lynch, and he's at AODH Lynch, and he says, if we go with a rookie quarterback, what record would mean front office keeps jobs? So this is a good one. I like
Okay,
this.
I have a theory on this because I read this question. I thought, okay, if the Jaguars, let's say, Joey says there's no way that they're trading up to get Haskins. Well, let's just say, this is crazy, but let's just assume that Joey's wrong on this. All right?
What?
I know.
The Scoutmaster, Joey?
Yeah, and let's just say that they do in fact trade up and they get Haskins. That means that there has been a conversation that has taken place between the Holy Three Triumvirate and Shad Khan saying, look, we believe in this guy, Haskins. He's the real deal. We're not going to see immediate results this year. We might get 6 to 8 wins with him. We could see a 1 to 3 game improvement in our record, but not make the playoffs. But we believe in this guy. But we also understand that we're on a 1-year extension. Can we work something out? And I think Shad would say, that's fine. Meeting adjourned.
And honestly, you want to talk about your happy level, I'd be at like 8 or 9 with that.
Yeah. And so I think that if they go after a rookie, that there has already been a deal in place where they are all coming back at least the following year. They're going to say we need 1 more year because there's no free agent quarterbacks that we believe in. And if we go for Foles, it's going to cost a ton of money. Let's jump up and let's get our guy, the guy that we want, and let us see this guy through. So that's my theory on that.
But the problem with that equation is that you're trading draft picks to get up. You're not getting draft picks later on. You're going to have to fix everything in free agency we have to fix. And then you've got a guy that instead of getting young players you don't have to pay a lot that might be good, you're going to be paying free agent players that after you can't pay anymore. So that doesn't really like equate out as far as like a good long, like a 2-year strategy even.
I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too with the situation that they're in. But here's my thing that I'm always going to go back to. I would rather them get their quarterback. I mean, and I like Haskins. I think he's going to be good. I would even say if I wouldn't trade up for Murray, but if Murray's at 7, take him. But that's a little more risky to me. I'm all in on Haskins, but I'd rather them focus their attention on that and then have their quarterback and build around that than get a guy that's not a quarterback, get all these. I mean, we've seen this story. We've seen them go after free agents, and it just doesn't work. Why? Because they don't have a quarterback. But you build a team around a quarterback. So go get that guy and cross all those other bridges when you get there. But at least you know going forward, you have your quarterback, and that is a huge check off your list. Then you can really start moving forward as a team. It might not, you're right, it might not be a 2-year solution. But man, as a fan, I at least know that the needle is now pointing up and we're going forward when we have our quarterback. Like you get all these other free agent guys like that I'm done with that.
So let me just ask you in your hypothetical there. Let's say that happens.
Let's say that Haskins.
Would you be okay with that happening and Bortles staying on as the veteran backup?
I mean, yes.
Absolutely.
Please.
And there's talk about that.
Because financially, it makes the most sense.
It does.
Because you're going to save money by cutting Bortles. We get that. But you get to bring someone else in. And who are you going to bring in? You're going to bring in some scrub that can't teach him anything? Might as well keep Bortles on.
I would be totally fine.
And you know, Bortles would be totally on board for that. I mean, he would completely coach up a guy. He'd love it.
Yeah. I mean, because people have been talking about getting a veteran in. People have been talking about bringing Bortles in to bring a veteran in. It's like, Bortles is now a veteran. Why not keep him around if we're going to draft a guy? I just think in my heart of hearts that we're going after Foles because that's the kind of front office that we have.
Well, and listen, full disclosure, you're kind of best friends with Bortles now, so.
Well, we don't want to.
You want to see him in Jacksonville.
That's true.
My relationship alone, but we just want to say that.
All right, that's true. I didn't want to bring that up, but I'm glad you did.
I mean, everybody's whispering the fact that Bortles could still be on the squad. Nobody wants to say it because from a optics standpoint, it's horrible.
I'll say it. Bring in Kyler Murray and keep Bortles. There we go. How's that for controversy?
I'd be okay with that too. I mean, but I'm a big Bortles fan. 90% of the Jags fans are not. If they keep Bortles, man, you talk about season ticket sales, I'd love to see the drop off there.
All right, this next question is from Scott Mullis and stays with the quarterback, and he's at Bake J Report Scott with 2 T's.
Wow.
And he asks, what quarterback could have had success last year with the Jags in that situation? He says, you notice Green Bay and Atlanta both had losing seasons too with franchise quarterbacks. He goes on to say, Jags' biggest problem in 2018 was 1, injuries. I agree. 2, drop passes. 3 and 4, quarterback middle linebacker play. That's more it. We need a true middle linebacker. So I guess let's answer his first question. What quarterback could have had success last year in the Jags situation?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what he's saying. It was a tough scenario for anybody to play under. Injuries completely decimated the team, especially the offensive line. Your number 1 wide receiver, who's really more of a number 2 wide receiver, goes down in preseason. It was a disaster from the word go last season for the Jags. I would argue that after injuries, I would put probably coaching as 2. I don't know. I can't remember what he had. Drop passes.
Yeah, passes.
Drop passes are, you can say there's drop passes. You don't say there's terrible throws. I think there was probably both of those, which are a push. Mm-hmm. So I would throw that one out of the list. And I know we do need a middle linebacker, and Joey referenced it earlier in the draft and here in this question. But, I mean, middle linebacker play, to me, was not the reason why we were bad. And Miles Jack had a pretty good season. If anything, I would say Telvin Smith, who was not middle linebacker, was, had a rough year.
Yeah.
So I would... Yeah, I'm not really sure where that falls in the list of whys. I mean, I would put that way, way down on the list, actually.
I mean, he probably should have added offensive line play somewhere in that list because that, to me, that's number 2.
Yeah.
Injuries number 1, and I think we all agree, but offensive line play was just dismal.
Yeah. Well, I almost pair injuries with offensive line.
That is it. I mean, our offensive line was decimated.
Yeah, but even the guys that were healthy were bad. Parnell, Can, I mean,
By the end of the year, I mean, can you remember? Do you remember who was the starting offensive lineman for the last game of the season?
I had heard of half
It was
the
a
guys.
joke.
Left tackle, it was the guy from the Giants. What's his
Flowers?
name? Flowers. Left
Turnstile.
guard was Omame. Center, they had moved in Shatley, I think. Right guard was Can, and then right tackle was Parnell.
There was another guy
Was
that they
after
brought
Wel-
in.
Wells got hurt.
Yeah. No, he got hurt though. Wells.
No,
Josh
no,
Walker.
Walker.
But
there we go.
there was someone else that came in. They signed like that week and played.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard of the guy. Can't remember his name.
And who?
I think his name was Robinson too.
Yeah, it was Josh Robinson.
Josh Robinson.
And who didn't play through that entire sequence? Our 4th round pick,
Yep.
Richardson. What's
He
his
was.
first
They
name?
put him on IR.
Great pick.
Good.
But I think it was to make room for other people.
Did he ever even see the field? No.
No, healthy scratch most of the season.
Yeah.
And then just IR.
I think this is a fantastic question because I agree with almost everything he's saying. There's no quarterback that could have came in and done much better. Maybe a game, maybe 2 tops.
Who? Who'd you say?
No quarterback
Did you say Gang?
game that would have won more games.
Oh. I thought
No.
Gang was going to come in.
No. So there was no quarterback that could have came in and won more games.
Okay.
I mean, it was a bad situation. I mean, Bortles is not the answer at this point. I think everybody realizes that. But last year was
Still play tight end.
he could play tight end, man.
I like Bortles.
And if we switch him there, that changes the whole draft strategy altogether. But I do agree with the middle linebacker. I mean, that was the biggest drop off on defense was Paz being gone. But I don't necessarily think that's because Miles Jack is not a good middle linebacker. It's the veteran leadership on defense at middle linebacker. So you're not going to draft that. I mean, that's just one of those things that happens. And hopefully Miles Jack can get there. We bring in somebody. I mean, I don't know. That's tough to fix.
This next question is from Angus Seymour, and he's at Dos Gus. And he says, there's a lot of talk around the Jags having a number of holes to fill this offseason. On the reverse side of that, which position do you think the Jags are most comfortable at for the next 2 to 3 years? Oh, I didn't see that question coming. That's
Jason, why don't you take this?
General manager?
Oh, wow. Okay. Defensive back, right? It's got to be.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
It has to be.
With, Jalen and Bouye signed, Jalen's not signed yet, but we got to imagine he will be.
They did pick up his 5th year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll have a deal done this year.
Right.
I mean, he has to. For my sake, please. And then I think with those 2 guys at the corner, I mean, Bouye didn't have a great year, but I mean, we know the type of player he is. We've seen his body of work enough to know who he is, and he's good. And Ronnie Harrison at safety and DJ Hayden at nickel. And if all those guys can stay healthy, I mean, we shouldn't draft a defensive back for a while,
right?
But maybe a safety, but I mean, defensive back for me for sure.
Yeah.
You could even say secondary. I mean, in general.
Yes, you can. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Gibson. Jury's still out on if he's going to come back or not. I'm starting to lean that I think he will come back.
He's just so expensive, and Ronnie Harrison gives us what he gives us.
Who's the other safety that you got? You got Harrison, but who's going to play alongside him?
Who do they have this year? Gibson. Harrison came in. They picked up what's the white dude's name that we brought in last year from the Rams?
Special teams dude.
Yeah.
Davis?
Yeah, Cody Davis.
Cody Davis.
I mean, he's not the guy. Yeah, I mean, do they pick up? Oh, they signed what's his name to an extension.
Safety?
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
We talked about him a couple podcasts ago. And we were like, oh, he could be good.
To an extension? Like someone they already have on the team?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, we talked about him like 2 podcasts ago.
This is the worst answer to a Twitter question ever.
Oh my gosh, what's his name? Our listeners are going to be killing us.
You all right, Joey?
Joey needs a cigarette break mid-show.
That was an old man cough right there.
All right, let's see here. It's going to kill us when we hit it. Jared Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Jared Wilson.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you want him starting right off the bat.
But, I mean, he signed an extension, and we were like, oh, he could be the replacement. And that's probably the level you'll get with him. So
if they can figure out a way for maybe Gibson can pull a Darius and restructure his contract, come back and play, that would be ideal. Because I thought he had a good season last year.
I don't see him doing that, though.
No, I mean, he's not young.
I don't know.
That's what you're saying, though. He's kind of like cocky.
Yeah, exactly.
Really
just
good.
based off his attitude.
Talks crap about the coaches when they got fired, saying they should play a different scheme. And
he just seems like a little more of a diva. But since you mentioned that, before we get on to the next Twitter question, I think it's a great point. Darius and Campbell, the fact that those guys at the point in their career that they are and the level they're playing at, took a pay cut to stay in Jacksonville. That says a lot, man.
Darius apparently went to the front office and said,
Yeah,
I'm ready to restructure.
It wasn't even like brought to him.
They said he likes Jacksonville, likes the coaches.
I mean, that's
he's a big outdoorsman. I think he fishes. I mean, he enjoys the area. So
yeah.
I mean, I like that. I mean,
yeah, I do too.
That's good stuff.
All right, it's cool if we take a break. It doesn't have to be official, but I need to use the bathroom, so
we can take an official break.
Let's take an official break here for the fans.
We haven't done one of those in a while.
We can change it up on them.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back.
All right.
All right, welcome back to episode 57, another Jags podcast. We're going through all of the Twitter questions that were sent to us today. We are on Twitter, I should say, at Another Jags Pod, Facebook and Instagram, Another Jags Podcast, and YouTube, Another Jags Podcast. Let's get right back in because we have several more questions to answer, and Joey is losing his voice with every comment that he makes, so we're going to try and get through these and hope that he can talk by the end of the episode.
All right, this next question is from King, and he's at the Noah Bennett, and he says, with Jalen's fifth-year option getting...
What kind of like...
seasonal king is he?
Yeah, well, I mean, like what kind of self-perspective do you have to just, that's what you name yourself? King.
Well, he went through Turkey King, then he went through like Santa King.
I was just King.
Now it's just King.
Yeah.
I think it's because he doesn't have like a seasonal thing yet.
Maybe. Valentine's King or...
What about like a St.
King?
Patrick's King?
Yeah.
Something like
Leprechaun King.
Leprechaun King. There you go.
Okay, sorry.
Nothing for you, from you,
wow,
Joey?
his name's King.
I was thinking king of all the land. That's what I would go with. But, you know.
All right, moving on. All right. He says, with Jalen's fifth-year option getting picked up, does that indicate that Jan is getting an extension this offseason? Also, what indication does Jalen's option have on Jason renewing his season tickets?
Well, we'll let you answer that because you're the only one that can. But I'll say, in terms of Jalen getting his fifth-year option picked up, I think that all that is, you know, not install's the wrong word, but it's like, okay, we're going to pick it up, but as we're doing this, we're also going to sign you to an extension. If I'm the Jags, Jalen has priority. He's got to be number one in terms of extensions go. And then move to Unique. I could see Unique maybe being, later in the season or next offseason. But Jalen's got to be done this year. Got to be done.
Jalen's put himself in the place where he has to be done. If they don't, that's going to be a distraction. You got to. That's an absolute. You have to pay him whatever he wants. He's played. He's earned it. If Ngakoue had played like he did 2 years ago last year, that would make the argument a lot harder. But yeah, you can definitely wait on him at this point. Mm-hmm. They are going to re-sign him, but you can wait.
I mean, he's averaging just under 10 sacks a year in those 3 years that he's played.
Yeah, but that's not fair because this last year he had a huge drop off.
Big time.
So if you factor in his great year with his average year, he sounds good, but the reality of it is that he was just average last year. So, I mean, he's a good player. But I'm kind of with Joey here. I wouldn't be in a hurry to sign Yannick. I mean, I know he's a good player, but he's one average year away from just being someone who's kind of overachieved.
Being a third-round pick.
Right, exactly. So, I don't know. I don't know yet.
Let me ask you this, since we're doing hypotheticals, which we will be till September. Let's say crazy dominoes fall in the draft. Quarterbacks get taken, even Daniel Jones or Drew Lock gets taken before the Jags, and one of those defensive ends falls to the Jags. Do you draft him at 7?
No.
Oh gosh!
No,
I saw a mock. CBS's latest mock with Pete Prisco, who kind of does mock drafts with the Jags in mind, had like 3 defensive end being taken before the Jags pick: Bosa, Polite, and
the guy from Kentucky,
Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's 3 guys. If one of those 3 falls to the Jags, okay. Would it surprise anybody if we drafted a defensive lineman with the 7th pick? Like, would it surprise anybody?
No.
It wouldn't.
No, it would not surprise me.
They would not
surprise me.
If they drafted a defensive lineman from Florida with the 7th pick, Ja'Cory Polite, would that surprise anybody?
Which he's been mocked to us in like half the mocks.
Yeah, would that surprise? And I mean, I'd be cool with it, but I don't think it's going to happen. I really do think these guys are like, all right, we got to save our jobs, or the fan base is already revolting against us. We need to bring in Foles and then draft a lineman. I like what Prisco did with Jawan, whatever his name is, Jawan Taylor from the Gators tackle.
Would you take him over the dude from Alabama?
Yeah.
Why?
The problem with the dude from Alabama is he's like 6'4", and Jawan Taylor is like 6'7", and the arm length is a huge difference. Like Taylor has way more pro potential than
I'm over
Jonah
potential
Williams.
at this point in the draft. I'm
But with
over
linemen,
potential.
it goes a little
I want
further.
to draft off.
It goes a little
production.
further with me with linemen. It just does.
Okay.
For me.
All right.
And to answer his question on does any indication of Jalen's option have on Jason renewing his season tickets, I am hard line in the sand, will not renew until Jalen gets a contract extension. And I believe that'll happen in the preseason. But if it does not, I will be scalping tickets to the games until Jalen gets an extension.
I like that stance, man.
Hard line in the sand.
I like it.
Not
That's
changing.
impressive.
Yeah.
Jalen or bust.
Yeah. In reality, I'll probably save money because you
Yeah.
do when you scalp tickets.
You absolutely
But
do.
it's
That's not what it's about.
That's not what it's about. Absolutely not. All right, this next question is from Patrick Jackson, and he is at @radius_Johansson. He says, last season saw us employing a soft zone defense a lot on early downs, which led to us conceding easy short passes and made us look less likely to generate turnovers. Do you think next season we will see more of this, or will we go back to the more aggressive, successful 17-18 tactics?
Well, absolutely see more of that, or they would have not have brought Capers in. I mean, that's his whole MO. And I think Walsh was not as comfortable when things started going south in a game, calling those kind of exotic blitz packages. So we will see more of that.
I agree.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will because it didn't work last year. So play to the strengths. I mean, that drove you crazy last year, didn't it? Did it not, Jason?
Yeah, but I got to break it down for y'all real quick.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. All right, so here's what really happened, okay? They tried to start the season with their straight cover one man defense where they blitzed 4, played man everywhere. Unfortunately, our front 4 was not getting pressure like they did in 17-18. So we tried other things. We tried blitz packages, bringing linebackers. We tried zone defenses, and offenses were able to pick that apart. Myself, the fan base, we were like, what are we doing? Why are we not playing what we did in 17-18? And they went back to more man defense when guys like Tayshaun Gibson started complaining when Barry Church got cut. And the same thing started happening. We weren't getting pressure with our front 4. So our cover 1 wasn't working the way it was in 17-18. So that's the issue. If we want to play to the strengths of Jalen, Bouye, Harrison, Gibson, these fast coverage linebackers, then we have to be able to get pressure with our front 4. And they just weren't doing that last year. Campbell's a great player, but besides him, we weren't getting pressure. So that's when you ask the question, do we bring a defensive lineman in? Isn't really that far-fetched because that kind of allows us to get back to what we did in 17-18. And I think that's what they hoped with Taven Bryan, to be honest.
I don't know what they were hoping with Taven Bryan.
He had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Y'all better be careful because he may end up being a good player. Then we're going to have to sit here and you're going to hear me complain about how y'all were wrong about Taven Bryan.
I'm tired of first-round draft picks being may be a good player.
That's what they all are.
No,
None
they're
of them
not.
are guaranteed.
I just
None
said
of
they're
them.
guaranteed. We just fail all
We
the
can
time.
have Dallas Goddard.
And what? He gave you what a backup in Pittsburgh gives you.
That's what I'm saying. Bring in Jesse James. It's come full circle.
I'm not even going back to the draft last year. We don't have time for that.
I'm just saying, give him
No,
some time.
I'm with you. I'm ready to give him another year.
I mean, he was good against the run. People don't bring that up. He didn't get sacks, but he was good against the run. He's so athletic. He's able to fold back, get guys. I mean, I know his tackle numbers weren't high, but he didn't get a lot of reps.
Working out with Lenny out in Wyoming. Who knows what he's going to come back looking like.
All right, this is our last question. Let me make sure here. Yep, this is our last question. This is a question from Brent Papino. This is his second question, but it's good. He's at Brent Papino, and he says he prefers Dwayne Haskins, but at what price would you be willing to take Foles and be happy? I'm assuming. He says 3 years, $65 million ?
That's steep.
What? That's real steep.
22 mil.
Yeah,
I'll be good with that.
roughly.
How many years? 1 year?
3 years, 20.
3 years,
yeah,
3 years, 22 million?
No,
No, that's what it would be.
That's what it said. It would be 22 million a year.
Oh! I thought you were saying you would want.
Sorry,
him.
I'm doing math in my head.
I thought you said you would be happy with taking him at 3 years, 22 million.
Of course, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah,
But that's
well,
ridiculous.
yeah.
No, I'd be happy
Realistically,
with that estimate. I mean, I think anything under 25 million a year, I'd be
so
good
you'd
with.
be cool with 3 years, 65 million for Nick Foles.
I would be fine with that.
What about you, James?
I don't want him on the team unless they can get him for. I mean, I have to be like in the 15 to 17 range, 18, I guess.
So 3 years, 45 million. You'd be cool with that?
Yeah.
Which I think is possible at this point.
No. I think the Redskins could afford that.
I'll say this too, and I mentioned it earlier. I just don't think he's going to want to come here. Why would he?
That's true.
Honestly, besides that, you have the defense, but a quarterback doesn't play defense.
Yeah.
A defense helps a quarterback, but the quarterback doesn't throw to the defense. He throws to the offensive players.
That's
we
true.
don't have any. We don't have any. Their best offensive player is out in Wyoming, and we're not even sure if he's going to be on the team next year. All right? I mean, like, the offense is in a bad way, and he can listen. If I was him and his agent, I'd be calling the New York Giants, saying, "Listen, what's the deal with Eli?" Because I want to throw to OBJ. I want to hand it off to Saquon. That is a high-powered offense right there. And you're within the division. You already know two of the other opponents. You also know the team you just left, the Eagles. I think that one makes a lot of sense.
Like
And I think the Giants should look at that.
Like if they could come, like you remember what the Jags had to do for Calais Campbell to get him away from Denver? They had to like overtly pay him to where Campbell was like laughing at the amount of money. That's what he'd have to do with Foles.
Who, the Jags?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
absolutely.
they do with Foles because if the Giants offer him way less than Jags, like you said, it's such a more of attractive scenario for him to go there. I mean, I love the Jags, but it's probably the least attractive team for any quarterback free agent right now. There's no offensive line. There's no wide receivers, and the running back position's up in the air. And you have a first-year offensive coordinator who was just fired.
Which is his old quarterback coach that he loves.
I'm sure he loves him. I'm sure they eat Christmas dinner together.
4
every
words,
year.
man. No state income tax. Done.
Yeah, when that's
Come
your
on,
draw.
Foles.
That's your draw.
Why not go to the Dolphins then?
Which is the other team I think he might go to.
Giants, Redskins. The thing with the Redskins and the Dolphins is they still have
The
quarterbacks.
Giants are getting Haskins. They don't need Foles. They're out of the equation.
Why do you think they're one spot ahead of why can the Giants can't assume that they're getting Haskins? Jags can jump. There's several teams that can jump.
The
up.
Raiders could draft Haskins.
Raiders could draft him. Sitting at 6 is no guarantee.
The Dolphins
I'd say it was
could
a guarantee,
trade the
but it's
farm for
likely.
Haskins and move up. Would you be surprised if the Dolphins traded all of their picks to move up to get Haskins at number 2?
No, because they have a horrible franchise.
Would you be surprised if the Redskins trade all of their picks to move up number 2 to get Dwayne Haskins? They've done it already with RG3.
I'm not talking about trading up and all.
I'm just saying it's not a guarantee. If the Jags want Haskins, they're going to have to move up. They're going to move up.
We're not getting
And
Haskins.
if they get Foles, they're gonna have to back up the truck like big time.
Yeah.
I don't think so because I don't think the other teams are going to be there to pay him.
So get Kyler Murray is what you're saying?
Small hands smells like cabbage.
You call him McCarney?
Jonah Williams
It's low.
had
Man.
small hands. No, he had big hands. He had short arms.
Size of hands is the most overrated measurement.
I disagree 100%.
I don't understand.
Hey,
that
go
at
get a
all.
medium-sized football and you feel like you're an NFL QB, man. It's so easy to
You
throw.
know who had really abnormally alien hands? Justin Blackman.
Russell Wilson as well.
Alien hands. They did sports science on his hands.
Well,
Alien hands.
Kawhi Leonard does too. Different sport, but still.
Russell Wilson's the same way, though. They keep talking about comparing Murray to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's hands are huge for his body size. They're like 10 and a quarter. It's completely different.
You
It
would
does
know
make a
that.
difference.
You would know that.
Look at Brady deflating footballs, man. It makes a difference.
All right, well, that's all we got on Twitter. Anything y'all want to add?
Nah, Foles isn't coming here.
I think he is, only because it's just like, that just seems like the personality of our front office, is to bring in a guy like Foles. They may think we're a quarterback away from being Super Bowl contenders.
I thought that last year.
Let me ask you this: if Foles comes in, where does he rank in our division on quarterbacks?
4th.
3rd.
You put him behind
Second or third.
I say 3rd.
He's behind Luck. Probably a coin flip with Watson at this point. ahead of Mariota.
Yeah.
Third.
Here's a
I
better
would definitely
question.
take Watson over him though.
Here's a better question. If Nick Foles is the quarterback for the Jags in 2017, do they win the Super Bowl?
Oh man, that is a good question.
Oof. Yeah,
Maybe so.
I think they do.
At least if you plug him into the New England game, I mean, yeah.
Because Bortles played good in the
Bortles
playoffs.
played good. I mean,
yeah.
look, he put up 30-something points against the Steelers. At least the offense did. I don't want to think about that.
If Foles plays the second half of the New England game, do they win?
Yes, I think
Yeah.
they do, man.
Ooh.
Absolutely. That's what he's shown.
Well, you know what though? You can't blame that on Bortles.
You can't,
either.
man.
I mean, they just kept handing the ball off. They got so conservative.
But was it because of Bortles?
because they didn't trust Bortles.
At some
That's
point,
not
you
his
have
fault.
to.
But that's not his fault.
Exactly.
But there was a reason for that.
But up until that point, at least playoff wise,
I mean, they're just waiting
that's
for.
not true. He didn't
Yeah,
do
they're
great
waiting
against
for
Buffalo.
Buffalo to show up again. I mean, I think if they had Foles, and they would have relied on him.
What if?
It just shows
Great
you
question.
how you think you're right there, and then how hard it is to get back.
Yeah. True.
That's all I got. Joey, you good?
I am.
All right. I think that does it.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the least amount of edits that we'll have in a show. I think we have 2 edits in this show. So this is a unabridged Another Jags podcast.
That's right.
And Jason's just saying that because he doesn't want to put the time in. He's tired.
Maybe.
I'm exhausted. I'm ready to go. Let's wrap this up. That's it for another Jags podcast episode 57. Thank you to everyone that wrote in on Twitter. We really, really do appreciate it. You guys make our show, and it's awesome. So keep them coming. Spread the word. And as always, go Jags.